Wonderful. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer before people start showing up. How are you? Lighting up my little candle here. Oops. There we go. All right, welcome. Let me see. Breathe. I got a couple more insights and all right. I'm going to wait a little bit longer to see if some people start to show up. How are you all doing in the meantime? Let me know in the chat. Let me see if I can see you on Facebook. It's easier sometimes to see when people are on, I'm finding, than on YouTube. But anyway, today's title, if you guys all know Gabriel Garcia Marquez, you might recognize the title. Love in the times of cholera, el amor en los tiempos del cólera. So I thought it would be very appropriate to talk about love today and about how we all have a different interpretation of what love means and how we show our love. That sometimes may be a little bit at odds with the receiver, right? We are taught since we're very, very young, the majority of us that I know, if you weren't taught this, share, because I'd love to hear about your experiences. But everywhere I go that I connect with people, I find that we have all been taught that it's better to give than to receive. And I always thought that was a little odd, because if we're all givers and then there's no receivers, then what happens, right? And that is what we kind of encounter sometimes. Hi, Robert, welcome. We encounter that we love to give, and it feels good to give sometimes, right? When we're not forced to give, there's different scenarios here that I'm going to talk about a little bit. But when we get rejected, when our gift gets rejected, it feels really bad. And so I believe that, first of all, we should all practice receiving more. Whether it's receiving a compliment, receiving a hug, receiving love and attention from our friends. It doesn't have to be material things, right? But opening ourselves to receiving creates a world of magic. Because when we reject gifts, first of all, we're sending the signal out to the universe that we're good, we don't need anything, so why would the universe give us more? And second, we kind of stop the flow, and then it creates an imbalance in our lives, right? So I believe that the magic happens when a joyful giver meets a grateful receiver, and that's when the sparks fly, and that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Hola, Marta. Okay, so how can we express love and get received, especially right now when we're in such close quarters, right? Lots of things are going on right now for all of us. We're all experiencing different levels of fear and stress at different times. Right? Some mornings, it can change from hour to hour, from minute to minute, depending on what we're each experiencing, right? Our stresses might be different. We might, just because this thing is going on doesn't mean that the other stresses that we were dealing before this started happening all of a sudden disappeared, and now we have one thing to stress about. No, people who had stress before are now encountering even more stress, right? Because now they have to deal with this crazy huge thing beside, excuse me, I'm having a little frog moment. Besides this crazy ass thing that's happening, we still have to kind of maneuver through our life, and it's in the most bizarre way because nothing is the way we know it. Everything has changed from one minute to the next. And as we begin to deal with it, the emotions are going to start running even higher. Right now, we've all experienced, or at least through social media, we've experienced people coming to blows over toilet paper. Let's recognize that that is not normal behavior, right? That's not normal everyday behavior. That is panic behavior. People are doing it because they are afraid. And somebody started hoarding toilet paper, somebody saw it, and they thought, oh, I'm going to do that. I have somebody, a friend of mine, an actor friend of mine, posted that she went, I know exactly who it was. Okay, she's an actor friend of mine, and she went to the supermarket, and next to her was this woman piling in the cart bags and bags and bags of broccoli. And she looked at her and she thought, I'm getting broccoli. She didn't think about it, actually. She just saw her getting broccoli and made a quick decision from primal. Remember, the primal brain is what's getting activated, and started packing her cart with frozen broccoli. And then she got home and realized, we don't even eat that much broccoli. We don't even like broccoli that much. Why did I pack my cart with broccoli? And she said, if you all want broccoli, come over to my house because I can share. I have a freezer full of broccoli. Now, was she acting rationally? No. Was it the fear center taking over and saying, survival, somebody knows what they're doing, somebody looks like they know what they're doing, so I'm going to imitate that behavior, hoping that that is what's going to actually save me. It is not rational. It has nothing to do with the prefrontal cortex and everything to do with the primitive brain. So as we listen to the news, talk to a friend, read the paper, whatever, we come into contact because we're now isolated, right? We're all in our little tiny little boats. There are homes, the lucky ones that we have homes. And wherever we're confined with a bunch of people or by ourselves. Now, there's different dynamics that are going on. The people that are alone are maybe experiencing depression, anxiety, panic all by themselves and feeling lonely and getting more anxiety, depression, and panic because they're on their own, feeling alone, feeling lost, feeling that like they have nobody to count on. Then there's the other people that are like stuck with their family. Perhaps they don't get along that great, and now they're stuck in this place and together, and then, you know, there's this maneuvering of, okay, how do we get along? Or we have the people that love our families, we get along great, but then different stresses hit at different times, and we might be more emotional at times. Now, when the ideal scenario is we all love each other. Second, all our crazy emotional roller coasters happen synchronistically, where if I'm up, I have friends in Australia, I have friends in Europe, I have friends in South America. They're all going through different aspects of this thing at different times. So when we jump on the bandwagon to be there for them, we might be experiencing different roller coasters at the same time, and it can be maddening. Okay. Now, like I said, we all have different situations that we're dealing with, and also we all have a different point of view. We see things from the filter that we have in place, the way we got raised, the way we look at life, the way, if we come from a very male dominated country versus if we come from a more equal, country, or a matriarchal society, it's going to be different, right? Our different points of view get colored by what our society thinks, even by what our neighborhood thinks and feels, right? Like, I've experienced in Philadelphia something that I hadn't really experienced that much before. I'd experienced it, but I kind of hadn't actually lived it. Here, every area of the city has a different, like, nationality. There's an area that's for Polish people. There's an area that's Italian people. There's an area that's like very blue collar, very white collar. There's an area where there's like more Asian people. I've also heard about attacks on Asian people, and it's like, God help us all. I'm not even going to go into that today, but I just find that absolutely crazy. So we all have a different experience of life and how we look at things. So what can we do to show our love in a way that actually lands and gets received? Because, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. Every minute we're getting new things. Then we also, a lot of us, and I feel the majority of us, might be experiencing, at least for myself, I have difficulty distinguishing between hearsay and facts. It's like, I want to know the facts, but it's like I hear things, and so many people speak with such conviction and certainty, and they're just like making it up as they go along. But then you're like, wait a second, do they know something that I don't know? It kind of feels weird in my being, but they're talking with such conviction that I might as well just believe it. And because we actually haven't seen what's happening, we're just hearing from a friend of a friend of a friend, or a friend of a friend, or a friend. It depends on the different levels of who is actually experiencing this virus and at what point. And so there's a lot of uncertainty and different and more things coming at us every day. So what do we do? Well, the first thing that I believe that we can do is something that I believe that operates throughout our lives, and it is simply to take responsibility for ourselves. Just being responsible for how you are feeling. This may not be the time to actually have a public meltdown in front of your entire family. Or it may be that just the time so that they actually know how you are feeling. So those are things we kind of have to balance out. Like, I literally had a meltdown last night. We have a pretty sick baby. He's doing great today, much better. We picked up Noel's baby, my grandson Emerson, and he was exposed to a stomach virus. And he's been projectile vomiting for 24 hours. And it has been very, very stressful, because the last thing you want to see when this thing is going on is a sick baby. And then before he started throwing up, I'm like, oh my God, does he have corona? He had a fever, right? So your mind betrays you. And remember, the mind is a very powerful thing, and it can betray us in an instant because it just wants to go into protection mode, and it goes and activates the primitive brain. So I'm going into this panic. Then I get the news that my tenant is not wasn't expecting it. It's not that it was just one thing on top of the other, And I just went into this emotional moment where I was crying, I was angry, I was mad at the father of the baby, I was mad at life. I was mad at life. And I removed myself from the area where my daughter was as much as we can, because it's a tiny house. And I just separated myself as much as I could because I just could not control it. I apologized to her. I said, I'm so sorry. I am just so angry right now. And I felt it. I felt the entire thing of the emotion that was coursing through my body with such passion, right? I was just, and I felt, how do you say it, when you helpless, that I couldn't help this baby, and I would have exchanged places with this baby, you know, just so that I wouldn't have to see him going through this. So sometimes when you're going through the stuff, it's easier than when you see your loved ones going through it, right? So allow your emotions to just be, own them. Do not try to fight them, because the more you fight them, the stronger they get. And when you start to fight, then the fight ensues. That's why if you start having an argument with a family member or whatever, the best thing is just to stop it and make a choice. Say, I'm not going to continue with this. Maybe when we've calmed down, we can continue this conversation, when it can be a conversation and not a screaming match, correct? So then we can, if we stop and not continue with the pattern, we can do what's called a pattern interrupt. And then as the more we do it, the better we get at it, the more practice we get. The next thing that that I recommend that we do is that not tell people how they should feel, or tell them to relax or to calm down, because that only feeds the fire. If you tell somebody that's really in a bad space and is angry, oh, calm down, what does that do? How does it land on you? But what do? You want the person to calm down. You want them to feel better. A lot of the times, the people who tell you to calm down, they're people who love you and want the best for you. But what can you do if you're the one finding yourself in the position of having the desire of the other person to calm down? Well, instead of telling them, relax, calm down, what if you ask them, do you just need to vent? And if they say yes, just sit there and listen, right? And then we're going to go talk about the next step for that in a little bit, but you can just listen first. Or you can ask them, would you like us to breathe together? Because breathing calms the nervous system down, right? We've explored that in the last episodes that we've been doing. Breathing in a pattern, you can start breathing with that person, and you start doing the counts, and that person will start following, because by entrainment, when you start doing a breathing pattern, the person will naturally follow. So if you start doing the deep breathing, if you're calm and you're able to do the count and do the breathing, that person will soon get entrained into this energy, and all of a sudden you'll be breathing together and emotions will just naturally calm down. Or ask them, do you need a hug? I read sometimes something the other day saying, how did it go? Something about giving someone a hug when you don't want to give them a hug because it's when they need it the most. And I thought that was beautiful, because sometimes people are acting out and they're angry or whatever, and all they need is a hug, and you just want to just kick their butt because you can't stand them like going all bonkers on you. And that's when they most just need a hug. And now I know we're all separated at this point, but we can offer virtual hugs. And the way those work, I used to do this with my daughter when she was little. I would send her, she would travel without me. She went to Mexico a few times, then she went to New Zealand with her dad for for quite a while, and it was hard to be apart from her. So I discovered from a very, very young age that I could literally focus on her and see her and feel myself hugging her, and she would feel me. So now we just say hug, and we connect with each other's hearts. We think of each other and we send love from our hearts, and literally we can feel it. It is like a magical thing. If you've never tried that before, try it with your loved ones. It's amazing. So it could be a real hug or a virtual hug, long distance. It still works. Or you can ask them, would you like us to pray? I have a friend, and we've been friends for over 30 years. And the most of the conversations that we have is we call each other and we just say, shall we pray? Instead of venting about everything that's going wrong or the problems that we have, we never talk about anybody that doesn't directly affect the situation we're going through. We don't badmouth any insight, and that's when we want an insight. When we don't, we just say, I'm going through a rough time, can we pray? Or not even I'm going through a rough time, I just call pray. Yeah, we do 3 breaths, we calm our system down, we pray an Our Father, say goodbye, and that's it. And that's one moment of just taking ourselves out of whatever situation we're facing and breathing and calming our nervous system down gives us the mind capacity to go back and tackle the situation in a different way. Maybe more creativity gets activated. Who knows? Depends on the situation, right? But it takes you out of the moment. And then when you go back in, you kind of go in with fresh eyes. And it's a really wonderful, wonderful thing. So, if you don't have to pray on Our Father, you can just say a decree. You can say affirmations. You can say words of love. You can say decrees about how, when this is all over, how amazing everything is going to be. Whatever it is that you choose, have a plan and say, okay, want to do this? Affirmations or whatever makes you feel good. The bottom line is what makes us feel good in the end, even if it's for 1 minute at a time, right? The next thing is to be in allowance of what is. Be in allowance of what's happening. Do not try to fight the situation. Do not try to resist it. Do not attempt to change things that cannot be changed in the moment. When we allow things to happen and we receive them without judgment, they tend to pass a lot quicker than when we resist. What you resist persists. The more you resist, the stronger it gets. I get stronger, this gets stronger. And then all of a sudden it's a battle of wills and it's not a good time. So be in allowance of what is. That reduces and can eliminate resistance. The next thing, yes, we are bored, a lot of us. I fortunately have been on my own for long enough that I don't get bored because I always have something interesting that I can be doing. And I don't have that, but a lot of us are finding ourselves feeling like caged animals and getting into boredom. So we start calling people. But then we call people with more alarming news or whatever you just heard that you don't know if it's true, if it's hearsay, and we start spreading rumors around. So I recommend before you start calling or sharing information that was not requested, unless you have an agreement with someone, if you find something out, give me a call and then we'll figure it out between the two of us or whatever. If you are deciding to share unrequested information, you can do a few things. I call it the stop, breathe, and ask before you act. Okay, so first thing, stop. Before you dial the number, just stop for a second and breathe. Do cycle breathing. Get yourself out of the fear mode, out of the bored mode. Get in touch with your inner knowing, with your inner wisdom that will never lead you astray. Your intuition will always tell you the right thing to do, to say, or to or to feel. So connect to that inner part of yourself. Just do it now. Now I feel a lot calmer. Ask, will this information help or hinder? Or you can just say, will this information help? And you'll get a clear yes or a no in here. If you feel very guilty of this, I get very excited about sharing certain information. And I've been known to go with my hysteria and my nervousness and my fears, whatever, and then just infuse it's more calming, or in a way that we can actually look at this information a little bit more objectively. And then when you're ready, then act. So instead of saying, okay, be aware, take precautions, that's one thing. Instead of saying, oh my God, everybody's getting sick, they're flying, they're dying like flies, blah, 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 and then just going into the story of it. That really does not help at all. So how can we present the information in a concise way that is going to move the conversation and create a positive desired outcome? And then usually we just need to vent when we call our friends. We just want them to hear us, right? We know they can't help. We know they don't have the answers either. Apparently nobody does at the moment. So remember I said before, offer to listen. So if you just offer to listen, or just simply listen without offering, just listen and be present with the person, just do that and do not offer advice unless it is requested. Or then simply ask, would you like to hear my opinion? Would you like to hear my take on this? Would you like to hear what I believe? Would you like to hear, I think I have something that might help you. Would you like to hear it? It's such a different energy than just like vomiting all our knowledge on top of people. And believe me, I'm the one who's like, want to tell people what to do. And because I sometimes feel like, oh my God, this worked for me, so I want to share it, right? Because it worked for me, and it's not necessarily what works for other people, because we all process information in a different way. So now, the other thing that's really important at this time, if you are low yourself, if you're vibrating low, if you're down, if you're not feeling high or in a space that is supportive of you, feel free to excuse yourself from the conversation. Like if a friend calls you and starts telling you what's going on 3 states away and you're not ready to hear it, say, I'm sorry, I'm having a really tough time right now. Can we talk a little bit? Would you mind if we talk a little bit later or something? And you just take yourself out of it. And then when you're ready, you can come back together and listen. Because if you're in a low point and then somebody comes with a low point, you're all just going to start vibrating yourselves down into that spiral of hell that I keep talking about. The next thing is take quiet time, which means even if you have to schedule it, if you're at home with a lot of people, maybe you can make an agreement where you get 20 minutes. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes even 10 minutes of just going in the bedroom and just sitting there and chilling out and being away. Your partner might take the kids or whatever it is, figure it out in a way that you can say, okay, I need that 10 minutes just to chill and relax, to meditate, to listen to music, to just be in silence and just disconnect from all of the barrage of things that are coming at us. That is going to help you tremendously remain calm and remain smart throughout this whole thing. Because when we're acting from the fear, I keep repeating this like a broken record, but we get stupid. And then whatever is going on out here that's happening, that I have no idea what it is, will get more control over us. When you are able to remain calm and not feed into the frenzy of the fear, you will be able to hear in your intuition the next step that is right for you and your family and your loved ones. Okay, I was guided literally a few days before the craziness happened. I knew I had to go prepare and buy certain things. I had no cues, everything was there. I mean, I had no issues because I was there ahead, not by a lot, but enough that my experience was very, I believe I was able to move through it with grace up to this point. So when you are in a state of calm, you'll be able to hear your knowing. All right, so today we're going to do a sound bath to connect to that part of ourselves. So let's do 3 to 6 cleansing breaths in through your nose, and then out through your mouth, a big sigh. And when you sigh, let it all go. Everything that's happened up until right this very moment, let it all go. Do 3 to 6 breaths and on your own time. And when you exhale, feel how good that feels in your body. You'll feel your arms, your legs starting to tingle. That's the oxygen moving through your body. The water starting to flow. Because sometimes we even stop our breathing. So the water slows down. The air slows down. Our mind slows down. We're not able to think clearly. Palms facing up on your thighs. If you are sitting down, do not cross your arms, your feet. You can also take this sound bath lying down with your arms by the sides of your body. Like I said, no crossing of the legs or feet or hands or arms. If you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. Imagine that space in your mind and your brain where your thoughts get formed. It could be one particular place, it could be several. Put dots on them. And then when you find all your dots, whether it's 1, whether it's 3, whether it's however many, go ahead and join them as one. And whatever color you imagine, if you imagine in colors, just could be an idea or a feeling in your brain. Go ahead and gently bring it down to your heart center. Bring it down as if this ball is a bouncy ball. You can bounce it down some steps. You can roll it down a slide. You can bring it down a fireman's pole. Whatever feels good and fun to you. Bring it right into your heart center. Now in your heart center, imagine the love, that unlimited love that your body, that your being produces. Imagine a place in your heart from where it departs your body. And imagine a little ball, almost like a mercury dot, right? And bring that dot that you brought from your brain into your heart center. Allow it to meld together. Now visualize a space in front of your spine, in between your solar plexus and your belly button. That's your power center. That's where your interior sun resides. Feel how bright it is. And now bring that dot into that sun. And as it melts into the sun, feel it transforming to a brilliant, brilliant golden light. Now go ahead and feel the fear that is residing in your cells or in your energetic bodies or both. And allow it to drain down your spine into the center of the earth. Imagine it going into that molten center and getting transmuted, feeding the earth with precious nutrients And in turn, the earth sending loving energy right back at you. Allow this energy coming back, bouncing back from the center of the earth to get charged up with the colors of the earth. Imagine all of those beautiful, precious, semi-precious stones. Those blues, greens, violets, pinks, yellows, every hue imaginable in the most astounding and gorgeous colors, charging up this energy that is going to be coming in through your root, from the base of your spine, and filling your body up. Feel it blending with your sun, creating these beautiful hues of gold tinged with the colors of the rainbow. Now allow your imagination to go to the crown of your head, to the ether, onto the stratosphere, and going up, 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 to the 0 point, that point where there's absolute peace, absolute calm, absolute silence. If you haven't felt that, you are not high enough. So allow your imagination to soar into the heavens. Imagine this white light brilliant silvery white, like a magical liquid. Allow this peace and this calm to pour from heaven in through your crown. And begin a cosmic dance between your sun the revitalizing energies from the earth, and this peace and calm from the ether. these energies to live in your being, at least through the end of the day. Allow your solar wisdom to reign today. Allow your innate power to connect to our Creator. Be your guide. Having transformed and transmuted your emotional state and your mental state, and bringing it into alignment with divine law. Take a deep breath. When you are ready, start coming down. Wiggle your toes. Shake your arms. Back. I hope you're all feeling amazing, feeling peaceful, feeling connected with your own knowing, which will never let you down. And if you'd like to know more about how to stay connected to your wisdom through this beautiful, beautiful process called the warrior process, you might want to join me in my upcoming 6-week series called Glowing in the Midst of Chaos. Couldn't have come at a better time, right? There are no accidents. So if you're interested, if it's calling your name, if you feel like this is something you would like to do, send me a direct message. I'll give you more information of when we're starting and how it's all going to go down. I love you very, very much. Stay well, and I will see you. I'm obviously seeing you more often now, so I don't know, maybe tomorrow, the next day, I'll be back. So keep your eyes on it. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. My goal is to get to 1,000 people so I can get untethered and go transmit from Wissahickon Park. I would love to do that, a magical forest here in Philadelphia. So the quicker I get to 1,000, the quicker I'll be able to do that. And I appreciate your help with that. Thank you so much. I love you.